Hey boys and girls, hope you're all keeping well. Board now back with you for another brand new television review, and on this video I'm going to be reviewing the first episode of the second season of Amazon's Hanna. So the episode is called Safe, and I'm going to go into full spoilers pretty early on, so just a warning. And I'm assuming if you're watching this video you've probably seen the first season in any case, but in case you haven't, then sort of full spoilers, and I won't recap the whole of the first season. For starters, I can't remember everything that happened, it's been a while, but I will say, in case you don't know, this TV series is based on like the film Hanna, the original film from 2010, I want to say, so about 10 years ago, where it's basically the story of a young teenage girl who's a trained assassin, basically, and that film starred Saoirse Ronan, and that film is what this television series is based on, and we're into the second series now. And at the end of season 1, Hanna and her father Eric infiltrated the UTEX base, which is like this government-run academy facility where all these other girls were being held, and sort of like a training facility. So they're basically teenage girls who are being trained in the same way as Hanna was. So they infiltrate the base, and they break out this girl called Carla. That's her real name anyway. She's given a code name at the base, but she has decided that she wants to leave with them, and they managed to break her out. And in the ensuing escape, Eric was shot, and he later died as they were escaping, and they of course buried him. So, and there was also involvement from Marissa, who obviously has a vested interest in Hanna's life and a past with him and with her and Eric. She showed up, and she actually helped them escape, and she created basically a cover story where she attempted to stop them escaping, but they escaped anyway, and that the other agent killed Eric. So at the start of this new series, Hanna and Carla are both on the run. They're in Romania at the start of this episode, and they're being tracked by the government, but it's Carla in particular that the government are tracing. So Hanna and Carla are like living together in the woods of Romania. They're training together as the government are trying to get Carla back. And early on in the episode, there's a deal made between Marissa and this new character, John, played by Dermot Mulroney, who recognisable face. You would have seen him popped up in a lot of films. He normally plays quite sleazy characters, so this is quite a fitting role for him. And he basically blackmails Marissa because, I mean, it is a deal, which there is something in it for her, but it's also a form of blackmail because he questions her about the whole breakout at the base, and he basically says, I suspect then you're lying, I suspect then you actually helped them escape, but I'll make you a deal, and the deal is that if you help me track down Carla and get her back, then I won't tell. Then you helped Eric and Hanna escape. And he also makes a promise. Then they'll leave Hanna out of it. That she is basically free now. Which, no surprise, then they quickly sort of break that promise. But I'll talk about that. So that's the setup, and a couple of other things happening, including we follow the girls, the trainee girls, who are being moved now because of the base being infiltrated and destroyed. They're moved to this new facility in England, which is called the Meadow. And we follow one character in particular, Sandy, who we saw a little bit of in the final episode of last season. Her talking to Carla. So it's a strong first episode. I enjoyed it a fair bit, and I think what I liked about it was then it definitely opens up the world of this show of Hanna. It expands on it. And it definitely plays with some new ideas. It introduces some promising new characters, actually, well cast characters, but intriguing characters, intriguing ideas. And I think it's promising because it kind of moves it away from being just kind of what could be a generic sort of action type show with this one particular character. And I enjoyed the first season, but I think Hanna was the strong point. I really like the actress, and I always found her story to be pretty engaging. There was some good coming of age drama going on with her, and the action stuff was pretty impressive. It was quite well shot and what have you, but I think it feels like you could only maybe get away with that being the focus for one season. And I think for the new season, you sort of have to play with other things. You have to introduce new characters. So it's an interesting first episode because the focus isn't primarily on Hanna or even Carla. I mean, Carla later in the episode becomes the focus because we find out that she's actually looking for her mother. That's why they're based in Romania. She's actually looking for her mother, which is an important sort of detail, because we find out then from a young age these girls are manipulated. So some world building here, because we find out they are actually implanted with like animal hormones as a way to like control them, and they're given false identities because they're taken at age 2. It seems a bit of a grey area whether they're given up by the parents, like if it's an agreed thing or if it's just some of them might be, homeless, or it might just be then they're kind of taken and there's not a lot of say in it. But because they're only 2 and they're not going to know any different, then the government do give them like identities, and it's one of the kind of intriguing world building aspects of this episode. Then we get more into just the lengths that this government department goes to kind of manipulate them and make them think then they do have a life, they do have a normal life, and they do have a certain amount of freedom. So it does link into Carla trying to find her mother in this, because she's obviously been fed like this false identity and she's never met her proper birth mother. But I'll talk a bit more about the girls and the facility, because this character of Sandy, we see in this episode that she's having ideas of being a regular girl, of living a normal life. We see her like isolated, straying from the pack, almost like she's quite confused, but almost like she is enjoying having new opportunities, living a regular teenage girl's life. So we see her putting makeup on, kind of getting dressed up in regular like teenage girl clothes, because at one point we see the Dermot Mulroney John character, like, because he's basically spying on her. He's got like a surveillance video on her, and it's like all really sinister. It's like, oh my god, she's dressing like a regular teenage girl, and it's almost like they would sort of frown upon that at this facility. And also she does make a friend, that being Sandy, who actress doing a good job, but she makes this friend called, I forget the name actually, but anyway, it's someone she bonds with really quickly, and they kind of like, they talk about like the boyfriend, and that being the friend's boyfriend. So things are hitting it off between them quite quickly, and they start spending time in their like room. But I think what's sort of funny is the fact that the friend is actually the rebellious one, or the one that sees herself as living a normal life. Because when they get moved to this facility, that they get a new trainer, and they're also told by this other character, then you're now being given more freedom. So they give them these new lives, these new personalities, where it's all very detailed. But they are told they're given extra freedom, which may or may not be true. I think it's meant to be like a facade of freedom, not exactly what we would call freedom, but they're being made to believe that so they can trust, the people running the facility, trust excuse me, trust them, they've got their best interest at heart, and it's a way to kind of keep them in line. So this other girl, who's Jules, that's the name of the girl, I've just seen it in my notes, Jules, who Sandy starts bonding with, she talks about her boyfriend, and she actually seems to have ideas than she's living a regular life. Whereas Sandy, I think, although she's starting to get these ideas, I think along the way she is kind of manipulated by the system a little bit, because Marissa is like told to interview her, that being Sandy, as part of her investigation to try and find Carla, and she gets some details out of her of Carla escaping and them talking through the door, and Carla actually seeing details of her life on the computer, which I think motivated her wanting to leave. And so they're keeping track on Sandy. But there's another new character, is this character of Terry, and I think there's some interesting stuff that could go on with her, because she is like a recent like recruit to, I'm not sure if it's meant to be the FBI or some sort of branch of the government, CIA maybe, and she is like a tech sort of expert, that's her training, but they actually offer her a place in the field, and she gets assigned to Meadow, and again, it's all very secret, all very like hush hush, and there's pressure on her not to have contact with her family. And I think immediately Terry is quite sympathetic because she's new to all this. She's like an up and coming sort of agent, and she kind of doesn't have any idea the kind of sinister world she's getting into. But her job is basically to contact the girls on social media and pretend to be like members of their family and try to keep them in line. So at one point she contacts Sandy on, I think it's Facebook, and pretends to be her mother, and we see Sandy having this dialogue with who she thinks is her mother, talking about this friend Jules and a couple of other things. And at one point she has a fight with Jules, and that is because Jules tries to convince her then, hey, this isn't real, they're all made up personalities, so you're not really talking to your mother. And they have a fight, and then she relays that to her mother or / Terry. And I think there's some interesting possibilities with this, because you see a reaction from Terry when Jules like responds to her, and I think you can tell quite early on that Terry isn't going to be the sort of character who's necessarily going to feel at home or easy with like manipulating these girls. I think she's going to be a character who has some morality and questions this. But at the same time, she's kind of in this position now, so she might feel she has to do something. So how she deals with it is going to be interesting. Does she just keep up the facade? And you could see her being the sort of character where she's still part of the whole thing, and she's still kind of like lying to Sandy. But at the same time, you could see her also being sympathetic and also kind of giving Sandy advice under the guise of being her mother. That sort of thing, I can see that. So there's two promising characters set up there with Terry and Sandy. So I do like that they're expanding on the world. I do like then, I think, because potentially if this is going to be like multiple seasons, like 3, 4, maybe even 5 seasons, I think they're going to have to come up with new characters that we can get engrossed with besides just Hanna. So I thought there was some promising stuff here. And so just switching to like the main character, Hanna and Carla, which I suppose the main focus is on Carla, but they're obviously out in the woods. We see them like training and hunting for food. At one point we hear like a voiceover from Eric, which is just a flashback, and I think we might get that a bit this season. We might get just little snippets of him and Hanna in the past, or him still with Hanna in like voiceover form. And as long as it's that, I'm sort of fine. I hope they don't overdo it, but I'm sort of fine with a little bit of that. And I was always a bit lukewarm on Eric, so I actually, yeah, I like that they've maybe moved on from his character. But we see Hanna try to like convince Carla then, yeah, facilities aren't for you. I mean, this is your best option, staying with me and learning and training, and you know, do you want to go to a facility? That's not the answer. And we see how Carla is like really confused, and I think that's why she wants to find her mother, and Hanna doesn't know this, and she sort of slips away. And kind of this obviously overlaps with the Marissa plot and her search trying to track down Carla. And this family, this mother and daughter, Carla goes to them for help, and they actually drive her to a location. I think it's still in Romania, in a hotel, which is where her mother is meant to be staying. And it turns out to be a trap. It turns out to be like Marissa contacting her and then laying in wait. Now, at the same time as this is happening, like the government operatives, they go to the cabin where Hanna, I think they've been staying there, or they've certainly been staying near there, because they've got like a location on them, and they basically blow up the cabin. They set it alight, and I mean, I think she is in there, but she survives anyway, because it's, you know, Hanna, and she's like the star of the show, and she manages to survive. But they sort of blow it up and or set it ablaze, and they assume she's in there, and so that's kind of like the double cross with Marissa, because John told her, hey, if you help us find Carla, then we'll leave Hanna alone. So, but of course they're not going to do that, because they want her out of the picture. And later on, John like tells Marissa, sorry, we burned a cabin and Hanna happened to be in it, and the story is then it's sort of a mistake. And he leaves her his card to kind of prod her into, hey, we would really like you in the field. We still want you part of the team. But as I say, it was a setup for Carla. Her mother really wasn't at the hotel. Marissa's there and waiting, and she tries to talk her around. She kind of tries to talk her into, hey, we've got your best interests at heart. You can have a new personality, a whole new life. And she tells Carla then, sorry, but your mother gave you up age 2 and she's now dead. And Carla clearly doesn't buy that and doesn't want to accept it, so she tries to escape, but they stun her and they've got Carla basically. So I think that's gonna be a big part of this season. I think first of all, Marissa, clearly she's certainly been murky in the past, but she does have a conscience. She has sort of like become more sympathetic and moved more towards the good side. So I think she definitely has a reaction when they you know, muscle in and stun Carla. So I think that's going to be a thing with Marissa, potentially sort of caught between the two sides. But we're sort of set for the season now, because obviously Hanna knows that Carla has gone missing, or she's gone out, and so she's going to find out then they've got her now, and obviously that's going to be a big plot, her trying to get Carla back. And at the end, she goes to Marissa, they meet, that being Hanna, because she asks the family, the mother and daughter, hey, where did you take her? What did you do? What did she up? That sort of thing. So the final shot is Hanna and Marissa like meeting, and yeah, that's going to be pretty fun stuff, because I like Marissa as a character. I actually much prefer her to Eric. So if we can get some more Marissa and Hanna stuff of the season, we should be set. But that's the episode. A good start to season 2, I think. I think potentially this could be even better than season 1, so fingers crossed. And yeah, all episodes are up now on Amazon Prime. That's the first episode of Hanna season 2, and I'll be back in the next couple of days with a review of episode 2. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this episode. How do you think the new season is shaping up? Like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And just another new TV show I've been doing recently is the new HBO version of Perry Mason, the reboot, sort of like an origin story. Couple of episodes into that, so you can find the first couple of reviews up on the channel, and also another slightly different show, the German sci-fi series Spied. So I've done 3 episodes of that. You can find those reviews also up on the channel. But thanks for listening. I'll be back with more Hanna reviews soon. Take care. Goodbye.